on to our next speaker. So I have the pleasure of introducing next for the summit, Marilou McFarlane. Marilou is the founder and CEO of SportStech Works, a consultancy team that works with early and growth stage startups to drive winning performance. She is also the founder of Women in Sports Tech, a nonprofit helping to develop the diverse talent for tomorrow and connecting them to opportunities in innovative and sports tech companies such as IBM Sports, the NBA, Nike, and more. Marilou, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, is everybody here? You got me now?
Loud and clear.
Great. So I'm so happy to be here with you all today. It feels like forever since so many of us gathered in Boston at the MIT Sloan Conference in early March, literally before everything shut down all around us, including sports. Who could have imagined? But I feel so lucky to work in this business, to have this good work to focus on and get to know so many of you all over the world over the years. I'm also fired up to introduce so many students to this exciting industry. I personally have spent the last 11 years in sports tech startups in a variety of leadership roles. So today, what I'm going to share is an overview of trends that inform the future of athlete performance in particular, to address some of the things Thomas just was sharing, and especially some exciting startups. So some that are early stage, some in high growth stage. These are businesses that are solving for big problems with innovative, accessible solutions for large sports organizations, elite athletes of all ages and their coaches, and sports scientists, all at the same time. So player tracking is projected to be a $9 billion industry by 2025. There are two distinct markets in terms of athlete data that are equally important to any GM, athletic director, or coach whose livelihood depends on setting their team up with the best chances for success, setting them up to win more games, sell more tickets, and win more championships. So the first one is human performance, and this is data technologies that optimize human capabilities such as physical, mental, technical, and tactical. And then there's fan engagement, which are technologies that demonstrate to fans the elite nature of the sport. They provide context to play for fans watching on any screen and offer unique and engaging sponsorship opportunities. My own experience is mostly on the athlete performance side of the business, where I've shared technology with young football players at the Drew Brees Passing Academy, seen here in Orlando when I was CEO of the venture-funded Edufy, which is now called Coach Now. I've worked with hundreds of NCAA coaches, literally of all sports, and attended their sports recruiting showcases. I've shared and onboarded new technology at places like IMG Academy and the US Soccer Development Academies. My work as founder of Women in Sports Tech has been really rewarding and has given me the opportunity to get to know many of the leaders of businesses and startups in this space. On the personal front, my husband and I were both college athletes. Our daughters were captains of their University of North Carolina soccer teams. One was a national champion, seen here in 2012, and the other a national semifinalist in 2016. I love working in this exciting business, consulting with sports tech startups where I serve as a catalyst for growth. So let's jump in and explore some of the most innovative businesses in this space. This is not meant to be comprehensive, but more of an overview of businesses that are appealing and somewhat accessible to all sports at all levels. There are numerous overlapping categories, but for today, I'm breaking them down as wearables for GPS tracking, biometric sensors, AI and biomechanics, and training and learning platforms. These are technologies, especially during the times of COVID, that support what we call deep training, meaning the work you do on your own without being with your coach or your team, but that allow you to easily share with and collaborate with your coach from afar. Most of you are probably very familiar with this category. These are wearables that track GPS data and are combined with accelerometers and gyroscopes that provide more detail on athletic movement beyond just how far you ran and how fast you ran, but they also track how the body moves through space at a certain speed. Many startups and existing businesses are trying to create a comprehensive solution. Orb Innovations was a new company I've just recently learned about, is a UK startup that shows lots of promise since it also measures for concussion injury. What remains to be seen is how this mouth guard feels in the mouth of the athletes themselves. So this is really paramount, the user experience. Success is not owned, it's leased, and rent is due every day. Why is it important to track your fitness, fatigue, and effort levels every time that you train to be the best version of yourself you can possibly be? Let's start with looking at what on-field GPS trackers can do, which are ideal for on-field sports where watches like Garmin or Apple just aren't an option. These devices capture high-speed on-field data that is converted into real-time actionable statistics. Catapult, the market leader, tracks over 60 data points, including things like distance traveled, max speed, player load, heat maps, and heart rate, even accelerations and decelerations. Why does this matter? To improve processes around performance evaluation, injury rehab, training periodization, as well as key positional inputs regarding tactics that you get from the heat maps. Other popular brands include Stat Sports, where I worked as president of North America, Polar, Titan, and PlayerMaker, where players wear the tracking device on their cleat, which is super innovative, and it's a startup with investors from the EPL. Target customers in this area include large professional organizations like US Soccer, the EPL, and NFL, NCAA teams, academies, and individual players, though pricing is currently a significant challenge for widespread elite youth adoption. This prosumer market is still very much an opportunity, though, for the company that can offer reasonable pricing and back it up with appropriate consumer marketing for what is still a brand new category of equipment for most youth players. The category of sensors for biometrics includes many of the health data points that can offer significant insights for athletes in any sport at any level. This is an exciting category that focuses on the processes and training that lead to better outcomes based on your body's own markers, the balance of sleep, hydration, sports concussion management, and especially for runners, foot strike imbalances. Our friend Kate Courtney says, in the realm of people focusing on data, I'm way far into the extremes. I love it. It's really motivating for me to have the ability to focus on these things and make progress. Kate is a professional mountain bike racer, world champion, and US Olympic team member, and a huge fan of the Whoop technology and the data it gives her, especially in terms of recovery. She says there's no such thing as overtraining per se. It's just all about under recovery. Sensors for biometric tracking focus on some key health data points that serve as key performance indicators. You start to understand the optimal environment for competition based on your own personal benchmarks, not those of someone else with a whole different DNA. Using this data, how much confidence can we give athletes mentally so that they know they're truly ready to compete at their best? These sensors are indicators of things really that are indicate readiness to perform and compete. They measure sweat and hydration, sleep and recovery, head injury and concussion, foot strike imbalances and discrepancies. Why do these things matter? They inform an athlete's hydration strategy. They indicate readiness to compete. They digitally track all incidents and injuries, and they monitor health KPIs in real time. Some exciting innovations in this space are offered by NICS, biosensors for hydration, Whoop for sleep and recovery, Head Check Health, and the Hit Check mobile app that screens for signs of a concussion in minutes on the sidelines, which is perfect for youth sports. Kinetics' unique sensory insole began as a revolutionary product for diabetics to help manage and prevent diabetic foot ulcer recurrence that can lead to amputation. Sensoria also provides a similar sensory insole. I love seeing the crossover from health tech to sports tech and vice versa. The customers for these technologies include individual athletes, teams, coaches, athletic trainers, as well as major sports footwear and equipment brands such as Nike, Adidas, and Rawlings. AI is being used in a number of sports technologies now in terms of developing and sharing powerful benchmarks of biomechanics from the best who have ever played their own sport. With AI and mobile technology combined, it's projected that the industry may ultimately evolve from expensive hardware solutions, such as are currently used at places like NFL football combines. Some of you football and baseball fans may be familiar with my friend Tom House. He's a world-renowned expert in biomechanics of the throwing motion and personal coach to many of the greatest who have ever played, from Nolan Ryan and Greg Maddux in baseball to he still coaches Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Tom House says with the use of 3D motion analysis, we can observe and scientifically analyze the throwing motion as compared with the best in the game. Then we identify weak links and movements and prescribe training exercises to improve mechanical positions and movements for a more efficient and accurate delivery. It's the marginal gains that can make all the difference. I have the pleasure right now of working with the team that Tom's co-founded called Mustard, which is launching next week. It's so exciting to share with you guys. And it is built on 40 years of data that's been captured by Tom, coaching many of the greatest players of all time. As we consider the value of AI in any application, the quality of the data that's input really determines the accuracy and quality of the output. Why is the use of AI so exciting? These solutions measured things like timing, posture, balance, stride, and release point. Why does this matter? To create marginal gains in technique, to identify patterns that lead to injury, and also, really importantly, democratize access to elite level coaching via mobile apps. The target customers for this technology is really everyone from the NCAA and elite youth players to large organizations like the MLB and even Little League, where we can offer more standardized and objective coaching tools to the coaches. The best AI platforms offer more than a description of your movement. They also offer a prescription for how to get better. With Mustard, for example, feedback is delivered to the player in an easily understandable report card, along with actionable next steps toward improvement. Other examples of innovative solutions in this space include a Sensei, which is focused for now on the biomechanics of rowing, and ProPlay AI and Uplift Labs, other startups based on biomechanical analyses that allow coaches to train athletes in new ways with interactive movement drills that are all powered by AI. Now we move to training and learning platforms. Athletes learn so much with each training and they take in so much data on how they're performing. There are many plays to be memorized, form and technique to be fine-tuned. How do we help them to retain what they're being taught? How do we help them survive and succeed in the massive data and communications clutter that they face every day? It's what you learn after you know it all that counts the most, says legendary Tennessee women's basketball coach Pat Summitt, who had the most wins in college basketball history upon her retirement in 2012. How can we help athletes with their mental performance to remember all that they learn and stay as organized as possible with their lives? These tech platforms provide wonderful solutions. These training and learning platforms track things like technique that is learned in practice, plays you learn in practice, training schedules, access to your GPS, biomechanic and biometric data. Why does this matter? People forget 40% of what is learned the minute the lesson's over. By the time tomorrow's here, they've forgotten 70%. There are too many disparate communication tools and there's too much incoming data for many athletes to process easily. These platforms increase productivity from training sessions and in their day-to-day lives. Target customers are coaches and athletes and as individuals and also as team units. And some good examples in this category include Learn to Win, which is a startup that has developed a way for players to better learn and remember plays and formations critical to their tactical execution during games. This technology is also being applied to military training. Coach Now offers private mobile training spaces so that, for instance, when you take us, negates the need for a bunch of other calendar apps and messaging tools for each different part of an athlete's life. If we had more time together, we could explore VR, such as the Incisive technology developed in Belfast by a brilliant entrepreneur there, to help goalkeepers train more objectively with data and with less risk of injury. And we could talk about AR, augmented reality, such as Vue6, which has designed underwater smart goggles that give swimmers the benefit of digital technology and communication with their coaches in real time. All of these technologies should help to provide confidence and benchmarks for players. But I really want to remind all leaders and founders in this space that all the data in the world means nothing without the power of play. Every athlete on the field should feel joy when they play and remember the kid inside them, like this daughter of mine giving a wave in 2016 at the College Cup at Avaya Stadium for the NCAA Final Four. I coached my own girls for 10 years, and this was always the most important thing at any practice. The play, the joy. Let's remember that's what sports are all about. We cheer for our athletes. We should stand with them too. Oh, and one more thing. If you'd like to help us change the ratio and join our Women in Sports Tech community, Join us there. Membership is free, womeninsportstech.org, where we drive growth opportunities for women and other underrepresented minorities at all stages of their careers throughout the sports tech landscape. And the very last thing, if you'd like to request early access to our Mustard beta that's launching next week, you can go to teammustard.com, which is TEAMMSTRD.com. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here and happy to answer any questions anybody has.